Start this section by saying that I knew Ruth when I was maybe, 12, 10, 12, but I didn't know her well. And then got into high school in 1937, and she was 1 year ahead of me in school. But I had a girlfriend part of the time, and I never paid her any attention until I was a junior, she was a senior, and suddenly she took my eye. Now.
So I haven't even told him this, but I sat a row over from him, and he sat up in front in the assembly hall. And once in a while I'd have to look up, and he'd be turned around and he'd wink at me. I didn't know what winking meant, so I just kind of smiled and looked like I was studying. And then it was the last day of school, and Danville was in the national tournament, Iowa. And
District tournament.
Pardon?
District tournament.
Okay.
Basketball.
And he asked me to go with him. Well, so the teacher had to drive my first cousin, Bob Wagner's, pick up, coupe.
Little Ford coupe.
A coupe. So the teacher drove Bob's girlfriend and me down to the game. And then the next night, a couple fellows in the typing room said to me, "How about we'll take you to the game tonight?" I said, "No, thank you." "Why not?" "I have a way." "How, with your sisters?" I said, "I have a way." And sure enough, after basketball practice, Wendell dashed upstairs, and there I was, and he asked me to go again. And we all went together from then on. Shereen and Bob and you and I.
So we dated about 1.5 years, I guess, before we married.
Yeah, or 2 years, yeah. 40.
Maybe
42.
we were a bit young, I don't know, but the war was on with so many uncertain things, and we knew one another well enough, and we were in love, and so we got married.
Yeah.
And when you went on those dates,
I worked at the telephone office.
yeah, when you went on those dates, your dad, Corliss,
Yeah.
he would give you how much money?
He just gave him the car with gas in it.
Yeah?
And $1.
And $1. And what would you do with that $1?
Yeah. Of course, I by that time I was working full time with Dad in the apple business.
Yeah.
And on the farm, no wages, no salary, but cause we were just you did that with your family and for your family. So if I had a date, I'd ask if I could borrow the car, and he would usually give me $1, and we would the two of us could go to movies for 80 cents, and then we took the other 20 cents down and bought a pint of ice cream at the dairy bar, and 2 spoons, and we that was our date.
Mm-hmm.
Ate out of the same thing.
Really on the cheap.
Yeah.
But we didn't say anything to us. It was a big thing.
And what was the story behind the table?
Oh.
In manual training.
Well, that was his last year, and he had made a table, like to put in your kitchen, and a cedar chest, and something else. Cedar chest and a table, and
I don't remember anything else.
there is something else right now. It's gone.
The table's still down in the basement.
Yeah. And I had taken Marie down to school where I worked, and the principal said, "Ruth, I've got something to show you. Come on." So I went clear down in the basement with him. He said, "I've got to show you this. Here's a cedar chest, but here's a table that's been made, and I'm sure your knees will be under that table." And I didn't know what to say. I just kind of looked embarrassed and looked
Blush.
at it.
I bet you blushed.
And I don't think I said a word.
But he was right.
So that was the truth. So the kitchen we had in our table. Our table we had in our kitchen rather. Yeah, we used it for years.
Mhm.
And
And then moved into this old, an old farmhouse, which was right here. And we lived there until from 42 until 51. 9 years we were in that old
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
No electricity, no running water.
But I was happy that way. I never thought of it any other way. And then we got our other house built.
and then you tore down the first house, right? And then
It was over 100 years old.
and then
This house is right on where the older one was.
and then tell us where you lived while you were building this house.
Well, I had purchased, I guess you call it a small chicken house, a brooder house, that had been used as a dog kennels in Mount Pleasant, and hauled it home. And we cleaned it up, and that's where the boys stayed. And Ruth and I lived in the old woodshed out behind.
About ready to fall down.
But by that time, we did have electricity. Yeah, we did by that time. Because we moved an electric stove out there.
Yeah.
And
No,
we
I
did.
don't remember now.
Yeah.
But the kids would be cold when they'd go off to school in the morning. There was no heat.
We started over there.
So we'd heat the oven up in the old woodshed and they'd come warm up.
We tore the old house down in July. And actually the three-man crew of carpenters were working pretty fast, and they had us enclosed about the time the nights began to get pretty cool. Actually, we moved in because it was getting cold. We moved into the basement, set up a couple of beds down there.
Yeah.
And what'd you do? Did you cook still out in that old shed?
No, somehow we cooked in the basement. On some, I don't know.
We might have had moved back in the new kitchen, but the rest of the house wasn't finished. I don't remember.
I don't know either.